Welcome back to another Millennial in Debt video, but also welcome to day 1 of 12 days of money, where I'm going to be dropping a video a day. Lord help me, teaching you all the things you need to know to be successful with your money in 2025. Today, we're going to be talking about FIRE. And if you do not know what that acronym stands for, it is Financial Independence, Retire Early. And before you even ask me, why would I need to retire early? What am I going to do with all that time? Whatever you want, whatever you want. And so a lot of times people think that FIRE is really just too difficult to reach or is impossible or they don't make enough money. But let's talk about a couple of different milestones that you can hit without being a millionaire right now that will still set you up for success, not only in 2025, but when you get ready to retire. So that first milestone that I want to talk about is called Coast FIRE. I reached Coast FIRE at 31-ish and a half, and that was off of my teacher salary. So no, I was not rolling in dough. I'm still not rolling in dough, but reaching Coast FIRE was a huge milestone, and let's talk about why. So when you hear people say that they have reached FIRE, that means they have reached their financial independence number. That also means they can retire or can become work optional. However, when you hear people say that they've reached Coast FIRE, you still have to work, but you no longer have to contribute to your retirement accounts in order for you to reach your financial independence number by the time you reach traditional retirement age. Before you can calculate your Coast FIRE number, you need to calculate your FIRE number. And the easiest and best way that I have found to do this without being too complicated is to take your monthly expenses, which you should be going on a monthly money date anyway. So you're going to calculate your expenses for the month, and then you're going to multiply those by 12. That is going to give you a general idea on how much you are spending annually. And here's the big math. You're then going to multiply that number that you got after multiplying by 12. You're going to multiply that number by 25. Then you're going to see a huge number that is probably going to be intimidating, but I promise you it is not intimidating. It's not scary. We are going to work backwards. So now that you have that kind of scary but not intimidating FIRE number, now you know exactly what you need when you retire to become work optional and still live a relatively comfortable life or a similar life to what you're living now, or spending a little less, because in retirement we tend to need less things, we tend to spend a little less, we become a little wiser with our money. Now that you have that FIRE number, you're going to use a Coast FIRE calculator, because we definitely don't want to do any of that work by hand. And what that Coast FIRE calculator is going to do is it's going to calculate the amount of contributions you already have in your retirement accounts. It's going to account for any other assets that you have that are pretty much liquid, right? So we're not going to really focus on your home or your car. We're going to focus mostly on your 401k, your savings accounts, or if you have a Roth IRA. And now that the Coast FIRE calculator knows exactly where you are currently, you are going to decide when it is that you want to retire. So if you want to retire at traditional retirement age, if you want to retire a little earlier, that Coast FIRE calculator is going to say you have this amount of money currently, and from today all the way until when you decide to retire, you have a certain amount of time, usually in years. Now, what your Coast FIRE calculator is going to spit out to you is how much money you have to invest to hit that Coast FIRE number, so that you can stop investing and that you will still have enough time for compound interest, which is our absolute best friend in the stock market, for compound interest to do its magic, so that when you hit that date, that target retirement date, you will have that FIRE number that we started out with that was super intimidating in the beginning. Let's say your FIRE number is $1.7 million and you're just like, I will never be investing $1.7 million ever. The Coast FIRE calculator is going to give you accessible numbers that you can contribute. And let's say those contributions are a little too high than what you can afford right now. Or let's say you don't have a long runway of time, because the more time you have in the market, the more time for compound interest to do its thing. That does not mean you're never going to hit your FIRE number. It doesn't mean you're never going to hit Coast FIRE. It just means that you're going to have to figure out some additional types of income, which will be day 3, so you might want to subscribe and stick around. You're going to want to figure out different ways to supplement so that you can hit those target deposits on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Because I started investing at essentially 21-ish, 22 years old when I started teaching, and it was very, very small contributions. It was $121 per check, so less than $5,000 a year going into a 403b. But because it has been a long time since I was 22 years old, that money has had the opportunity to grow based off of the compound interest magic that I mentioned earlier. And now I not only have hit my Coast FIRE number, but now I've hit my fat Coast Fire number. And I know you're like, girl, this is getting crazy. You don't need to worry about Fat Fire. You don't need to worry about Fat Coast Fire, but it is another milestone that I have in my current portfolio that I thought I would just dabble in and discuss real quick. And if you do want to learn more about Fat Fire or Fat Coast Fire or other types of fire, you can absolutely pick up a copy of my book, So This Is Why I'm Broke, where I spent an entire chapter talking about different types of fire, how to achieve them, and how to supplement your income so that it is more accessible. Let's say if you're not making a ton of money right now, or if money is a bit tight, or if your budget just isn't set up right now for retirement contribution. That's it. That's all I got for you in day 1 of the 12 days of money. I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.